Gina, are you going to start? Because otherwise we're just looking at each other.
Yes. I was waiting for I'm just waiting for all the attendees to come in, so I can still see the numbers are going up. Hi everyone, we're just waiting for everybody to come in, and we'll start in just a moment. Okay, I think we're good, so we'll begin, and we might get a few people join us as we go on. So hello everyone, welcome to the Q&A to answer questions about our new Artistic Associates opportunity. I'm Gina, I'm the Executive Director at RTYDS, where I work with Sue Emmis, who's our Artistic Director, who will be answering questions today, and Anthony Lau, who's our Associate Artistic Director as well. I'm just going to start off with some Zoom housekeeping. Our captions today are available through Zoom, and you should have access to those at the bottom. If you're having any problems accessing them, if you just use the chat to email me, I'll be able to respond in the chat. We also have our two BSL interpreters here, Sarah and Lauren. Please make sure you pin their videos if you require BSL. And this is being recorded and uploaded to our YouTube page, so you'll be able to watch it back and there'll be captions available. We're going to start off with the questions you submitted first, and then there's a Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen if you want to submit questions anonymously. Please try and keep your questions to the Q&A box, as that will help us make sure that nothing gets missed. So, Sue, do you want to start with a little bit about what the opportunity is, and then we can move into questions?
Sure, thank you. So there's not a lot of an introduction because we hope very much that the guidelines are pretty clear, but what we always like to do is to provide an opportunity to answer any questions that people might have or clarify some of the information. So it's great that you're here today and you're interested in the role, so thank you very much for coming along. Some of this is our desire to have artistic associates that are part of RTYDS has come from our involvement with Freelancers Make Theatre Work from the Freelancer Task Force, also the focus groups that we've set up with directors, theatre makers and also companies, and also the thinking we've done internally and also with our board at this really kind of difficult moment in the theatre sector in terms of what can we be like moving forward, how can we be better? And I guess what we want to do through this opportunity is to put artists and freelancers at the heart of what we do. We want to provide support and access to those entering the industry at a really complex time, and where we know that there are barriers and inequalities, and to try and relieve as many of those as we can. And also we want to be able to signpost artists to what we do and other opportunities that organisations provide. And that's kind of where we're starting from with this opportunity. So we ask people to send us possible questions that they may have where we hadn't been as clear as we could be. And we're here to answer some of those. And I've just got some of them here, which I'll just kick off with. And then we can take some of your questions too, and Gina will feed those in. And me and Anthony can hopefully provide as clear an answer as we can. One of the really clear questions is, what does the 2.5 days a week mean? How flexible are you really going to be? And I think the way we want to conceive this is that it's very bespoke to the artists that end up working with us as its artistic associates. It is really going to fit around them. And it's also to be flexible, realizing that they've probably got a freelance, well, will have a freelance career or maybe another job. And it might be that there's concerted period of time when they're doing more than 2.5 days a week, and other times when they're not doing anything because they're off doing their own projects. It's basically 2.5 days a week over a 12-month period to fit in around your commitments and as an artist and the projects that you've got going on. And Anthony, by the way, just jump in if there's anything. Great, thank you. The other really sensible question is how will we select the artists from their short presentations, expressions of interest? And I think what we'll be interested to see, obviously, is the scope of experience and skills that you've amassed thus far. And we're hoping that someone will be confident in their practice as a director and theatre maker, to have the skills and experience to signpost other artists who are maybe earlier in their career, to also pass on some of your experience, skills, life knowledge, lived experience through running, whether that's workshops, one-on-one chats, facilitating safe spaces. All of that will be really important, and obviously will be indicated through your CV. I guess we also want to know that what you're suggesting that you will do over this period of 12 months is in some ways a sense of that it's specific, you know who you want to connect with, that you know what you're trying to achieve, and you'll kind of maybe know what success looks like, that within a 12-month period, you're not trying to do too much or too little, although we recognize that this is a kind of new pilot, we're trying something new. And also that you've got a sense of maybe what the timeline might look like. Now, all of that you're not putting in the expression of interest, but that will be in the back of our mind in terms of what we're looking to achieve. And I guess the important thing is that, you know, we are only the people that we are. And so is there something that we've not thought about that you're bringing that is going to surprise us and really enables us to connect and communicate with other people? And kind of, are we excited by it? Is it the thing that kind of you've got an idea, like I say, that's going to take us in a new direction, connect us with new people? And I guess the other thing to remember is that RTYDS in our name suggests certain things, but we're interested in regional talent in terms of underrepresented artists and also in creative leadership. And we want to, as our name suggests, it's the Regional Theatre Young Director Scheme. We are committed to providing support to artists who live and make work outside of London, and to rebalance that focus of resources and opportunities. But unlike our name, we're not to do with age. The artists we work with can be of any age. The young, we just need to put a grade X through, and we're working on that as fast as we can. But as long as people are over 18, there is no limits to anybody's age. You can come to theatre at the start of your career at a whole range of different ages through your life.
Sue, can I just pick up on something that you mentioned earlier about this opportunity being new? And I think that, for me, that feels like a really key idea behind all of it, is that it is about us listening to you guys, and you sort of bring us your ideas about how you might want to work moving forwards with these groups of people, these communities. But it's also, I think, a chance for us to think about how it is that we've been working for the last however many years, and how sort of moving forwards we might be able to shape or change the way that we continue to work with theatre makers and directors across the country, especially those who come from sort of underrepresented backgrounds, who aren't used to kind of looking at guardian jobs or arts jobs or whatever else, right? And who that just isn't a natural place necessarily to look for work, or to kind of explore their passions and their sort of career as a maker. So I suppose that's also really key, is that how else can we reach those people? Is it through maybe Instagram? Is it maybe through particular networks? Is it through cabaret clubs? What are those different networks that we or I might not be very good at or even know about, that you guys would actually have a like direct line, a sort of bat phone straight to, I suppose?
Great. Sorry, so are we going too fast, or is this okay?
Sorry, that's my fault.
No, both of us talked so fast. I'm just checking. Thank you so much. So that's an answer to that question. Another one we had was, how will we support the artistic associates, and is there a pot of money? So yes, there will be a budget for each of the associates for them to achieve what they want to. I guess we're here to support in whatever way we can. We've got a range of knowledge, we've got a range of connections. We can help be sounding boards. There's lots of different ways that we can support. And another question, just linking on to that, was will there be mentorship, or will there some degree of support and well-being for the associate artists, depending on artistic associates, forgive me, what work they're doing and with whom? And so yes, there will be support, and there's also an access budget that we can give support through as well. Is there anything on that, Anthony, to say more about?
Only that I think because of the work that RTYDS has done over its time, there is a huge huge network of other experienced directors from different backgrounds. So there will be people who might be perfectly suited to mentor the artistic associate who, might have gone through a similar thing or might have a shared lived experience, who might be able to help provide mentorship and general support outside of the immediate sort of RTYDS team as well.
Brilliant. And someone has asked, will the two artistic associates target separate communities and work separately, or will there be any form of collaboration between them? And again, that's completely open. We're not setting any rules. It's bespoke to those two individuals. It might be that they want to work separately. There may be really brilliant times that they can kind of combine and conflagrate what they're achieving. There really aren't any rules to this. And again, someone has asked in terms of what will the expectation, what change or what achievements are reasonable within the time. And again, that's for us to work out together to see what is realistic, what is achievable. It's a 12-month period. We're really aware of that in terms of it's 2.5 days a week. We don't want to be setting people expectations that they can't fulfill. It will be about us working out that together as much as we can. Anything on that, Anthony?
Only that it's also not limited to a year, right? In the sense that whatever projects we start together in these next 12 months will keep going and going. So the idea of hard targets at the end of 12 months feels not the right way of looking at it for me anyway. It feels like it's a progression and, it's work forever as much as anything else. Brilliant.
Thank you. I think they were all of the major questions that had been submitted. Gina, are there any that I've missed? I know you're doing many things at the same time. I just wonder if there was anything that we'd missed.
We had a question about whether we'd expect the artists to work with the community group they proposed to work with before.
Yes. So it's not, I guess in terms of community group, we're not necessarily imagining that there's an always established group. I guess we're utilising the word community in a much wider sense of things with lived experience or shared kind of cultural context. So you don't have to have know who that community group is. It might be groups, might be individuals, they'll be new to you, some that you're drawing on from your past work and connections. But we're not expecting you to come with all of those partnerships or knowledges or networks kind of established. Part of this work will be to develop, uncover, reveal some of that.
And we've just had the final question was around how flexible we can be around the payment of the posts and whether it's freelance or employment or flexibility within payments in case people are on universal credit or other types of employment and support allowance.
And I think you're probably best to answer that question.
So RTYDS generally does look to be flexible in terms of how we pay people because of how this role is going to be will work. We believe that it'll need to be treated as employment from the point of view of how a HMRC would expect it to be treated. But what we would do is work with people individually at the point of appointment and make sure the contract is as flexible as it can be within the bounds of what we need to work within.
Great. And then an extension of that is someone's also asked whether or not you could share one of the roles together. And again, we're open for that. It's not about limiting, it's just about making it work for you in the flexible way that you want it to, and the way that you feel will be the most benefit both to yourselves and to the artists that you're hoping to reach out to. So I think that's all the questions that we had submitted in advance. So I don't know if in the Q&A, if people want to ask any further questions that would be useful to cover. And we'll leave a little moment with resounding silence while people try and have a think about what they might want to ask. And obviously, if people don't have anything to ask, that's great.
So we've just had one through, which is how much previous experience is necessary?
It's a really good question, isn't it? And it's a very complex question, which is experience level. And I know there's been lots of conversations around what does emerging mean? Is it early career, mid-career, experienced? And it's really hard to quantify. And I know we try to do it all the time, but in some ways it's tricky. So what we try to do, as I said in the guidelines, is give some sense, but not be prescriptive. So as I say, it's about being confident in your practice, and that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. But what have you got to share? What assistance can you give others? And it doesn't have to necessarily look at it being a structure hierarchy of going upwards. It might be kind of about much more vertical kind of support that you can give. So I think it's trying to, relinquish our very fixed set of how it works in terms of people going up and getting more experienced. You'll be happy to share your knowledge and experience. And I guess in some ways, as we said, don't self-center, because sometimes when you have that sense of imposter syndrome or you're questioning yourself, maybe you're the person to exactly step into that space, as opposed to somebody who's really certain of their experience level. So you're going to know best as to, do you feel that this is the moment for you to step into a possibility like this? And we do want to provide mentorship where we can. And we as a team will be around to support. Anthony, do you want to add to that?
Only that I don't think this is the kind of thing where we're looking at qualifications. We're not looking at what degree that you've done and whether you have one or otherwise. It's not about that. I think it's about a combination of lived experience as much as professional experience as a maker or director. And I think it's also about acknowledging that experiences have sometimes been hard to come by for certain artists and certain voices. And so when you compare, and that's always dangerous, your CV with someone else's, it may feel like you have less credits or done less things, but really actually, even within that, the journey that you've gone on would be hugely beneficial for supporting your peers and supporting others to become theatre makers and directors.
Exactly. And I think, as I say, in terms of the expression of interest, you might bring the thing that we've just not thought about, because we come from where we've come from our journey, our life experience thus far. And if you don't see yourself represented in who runs theatre companies or who makes work, maybe you're really the best to encourage others to step into that space and to know how to access and what to do once you have made that space accessible to people.
We've had another question. Does the role allow associates to make their own work that maybe brings exposure or awareness to a community if work with the actual community performing isn't feasible?
Oh, that's a good question. Could you just read it again? That's quite full of...
I was trying to break it up, but I couldn't. Does the role allow associates to make their own work that maybe brings awareness to a community if work with the actual community performing isn't feasible?
That is a really good question. I guess in some ways it's to say that we are not an organisation that makes work. We do not have a producing arm. That's not something that we do. But maybe that would then be about working together to provide a partner who could do that. So again, it's possible. We would just need to look at how we manage to put all of the pieces together that mean that we can do that.
We're ready for another. Oh, they're coming through thick and fast now. Is the associate restricted to working only with one community or multiple if they're linked?
That's a really good point, and forgive me for not saying that. Intersectionality has to be at the heart of it. So it's not to limit, it's not like one, it's about a body of artists, individuals that you want to bring together. So yes, of course, that there's no limitation in terms of that.
And then for the next question, In the expression of interest, would you like us to be explicit about where we feel we have met barriers to employment opportunities to develop? As an example, maybe the barriers we would like to address in this post.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. That'd be really interesting, definitely. But again, don't feel you have to, but if that's the way to express your interest, then that would be really, really interesting. Anthony, anything on that?
Only the worst piece of advice I could ever give, right? Which is to follow your gut with applications. But I do think that's true though, you know, because I think, especially with something like this, for me anyway, I feel like I really want to see who you are, even in that very short expression of interest. So if you have an instinct about how you want to talk about your work or how you want to talk about the people, the groups that you want to work with, then do it. I think often, or sometimes we fall into traps in application forms about having to write really formal answers to things. And sometimes that might not be the best way of communicating for you. It might be better through bullet points. It might be through, I don't know, a poem, maybe not a poem, but like, you know, it's finding what it feels most natural to you. And if making it clear that the very barriers that you faced are the ones that you want to break down, then brilliant, go for it, I think.
We don't have anything else in the Q&A box. So is there any final points you'd like to say, Sue and Anthony, before we wrap up?
Is there anything, Anthony, that you want to finish with, and then I'll have a...
No, I don't think so. I mean, only that... Oh, there's another question that's come up. What if a community we're interested in working with is very small or specific? Is that still valid if the effect won't be widespread?
I think that's really good. We're not counting impact as number of people. It can be a small community that you really connect with, and those people pejorative, and you've broken down barriers, created access. Numbers are not important at all. It's about the quality of the experience and the impact that it has long term for those individuals.
Anything else?
Maybe we should just give, there's a rule, isn't it? You should always count to at least 23 very slowly in your head, because other people are thinking and they're processing, they're trying to work out, is there anything else? So other than us sitting here looking a bit odd, I think it's good just to wait a bit.
Okay. So next question, is the opportunity only available to non-London based artists?
Again, I think it's for us to find out what you want to do, where you want to do it, and why. You know, as it suggests, Regional Theatre Young Director Scheme, it is about connecting with artists who are not necessarily in the capital. But again, you might be based in London, but have made loads of work for a very long time outside of London. You might know that area really well. You might have ideas that you're in London as a deaf or disabled artist, but actually you really want to reach out across the country. So we're trying not to put any expectations in place to find the artists that know what they want to do with this, to help us be as national as possible.
I'm trying to be patient and wait.
I know, Gina, you can't bear it, can you? I can see it written all over your face. Just trying to think if there's anything else that is useful to cover.
As we've been talking, one thing that has occurred to me is just to reiterate the first stage is an expression of interest, and we'll provide. We've had some questions about, for example, the level of experience and we will provide further guidance as we go through the process. So you'll get lots of information as you progress. So the expression of interest is designed to be hopefully light touch, so when we say don't self-censor, it's worth doing. So I'll do a final call in case there's any more questions. You can ask anonymously as well. So just make sure you tick the box if there's something you're nervous about asking. Do ask anonymously.
But equally, if you've got kind of questions coming up as you kind of go away and think about it, then you can send it to rtyds@rtyds.co.uk. And then Manlai will get back to you, or one of us will. So don't feel that this is the only opportunity for you to ask questions. We can, that's the process. It's not like the Hunger Games. We're not trying to make it hard for people. We want to make it kind of creative, interesting, inclusive as we can, and just aware that these processes are always really tricky. But as Anthony says, don't try and second guess us. We just want to know as clearly as we can about your ideas and what you want to do, and see how we can make that achievable for you. I think Sarah has arrived just at the time when we're going to stop. Great. Well, thank you all very much. Like I say, if you have any further questions, we're really happy to answer them. If you've got any thoughts or reflections, please be honest, be as clear as you want in terms of what you think. If we've got something wrong, maybe we've got some sides that we've not seen to something, there's areas that you want to feed back to us. It's just, as Anthony said, this is new. It's the first time we've done this. We want to put the artist at the centre. We work with a lot of artists in different ways, but we want to work more where they're integrated actually into the company, and not just where we're providing opportunities, because this will really help all of our knowledge and how we move forward to make this work as well as we can.
Just to answer Evangeline, who had to take a call halfway through, the webinar will be available to watch back afterwards, so you're all good. It's mostly just the 5 of us staring at each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah and Lauren as well.
Thank you.